Captain Jake Murphy stared at the small screen in front of him. The green light was blinking fast. Someone was sending a distress signal from the Kepler 442 system. This was very strange. That system had been empty for 300 years. Jake rubbed his tired eyes. He had been on duty for 16 hours. The USS Liberty was a small ship with only 42 people on board. They were supposed to be checking on some mining stations near Earth. Nothing exciting ever happened on these trips. "Captain, you need to see this," said Lisa Grant. She was the science officer. Her voice sounded worried. Jake walked over to her station. Lisa was young but very smart. She had joined the crew 6 months ago from Earth's Space Academy. "What is it, Lisa?" Jake asked. "The signal is coming from inside the dead zone, the place where no one is allowed to go." Lisa pointed at her screen. "But look at this. The signal pattern matches Zephyrian technology." Jake felt his heart beat faster. The Zephyrians were one of the alien races in the Galactic Council. They were friendly to humans, but why would they be in the Forbidden Zone? "Are you sure about this?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. The signal is definitely Zephyrian, and it keeps repeating the same message over and over. Help us. We are trapped. Please help us." Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was watching him. They all knew the rules. No one was allowed to enter the Kepler 442 system. The Galactic Council had made this law long before humans joined them. They said the system was dangerous. Something had killed all life there hundreds of years ago. Ben Carter, the security chief, walked up to them. Ben was a big man with short black hair. He had been a soldier before joining the space service. "Captain, we should report this to Earth Command," Ben said. "Let them decide what to do." Jake knew Ben was right. That was what they were supposed to do. But the message from Earth Command would take 3 days to reach them. Then it would take another 3 days to get permission to help. By then, whoever was sending the signal might be dead. "How long would it take us to reach the signal?" Jake asked Lisa. "About 6 hours at full speed," she said. Jake thought for a moment. He remembered his training at the academy. The first rule of space travel was to help anyone in danger, but he also remembered the warnings about the dead zone. Every ship that had entered that system in the past 300 years had disappeared. "Captain," Lisa said quietly, "there's something else. The signal is getting weaker. I think whatever is happening there is getting worse." Jake made his decision. "Set course for the Kepler 442 system, full speed." Ben looked surprised. "Sir, Earth Command ordered us to stay away from that sector." "I know," Jake said, "but someone needs our help. We can't just ignore them." The USS Liberty turned toward the Forbidden System. Jake felt nervous but also excited. This was why he had become a starship captain, to explore unknown places and help people in trouble. As they traveled through space, Lisa worked on her computers. She was trying to learn more about the signal. "Captain, I'm getting more information," she said after 2 hours. "The signal is coming from a research station. It's orbiting the third planet in the system." "A research station? What kind of research?" Jake asked. "I'm not sure, but the station is definitely Zephyrian. It's been there for about 6 months." Jake was confused. Why would the Zephyrians build a secret research station in the dead zone, and why hadn't they told the Galactic Council about it? 4 hours later, they reached the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Jake could see the system's star on the main screen. It looked normal, not dangerous at all. "Captain, I'm detecting the research station," said Tom Willis, the ship's pilot. "But there's something else, something big moving near the third planet." "Put it on screen," Jake ordered. The image appeared on the main screen. Jake gasped. Near the planet was something he had never seen before. It looked like a giant crystal, but it was moving. The crystal was huge, maybe 5 miles long. Its surface was glowing with a strange blue light. "What is that thing?" Ben asked. "I don't know," Lisa said. She was checking her instruments. "But it's not natural. Someone or something made it." As they watched, the crystal moved toward the research station. The station was firing weapons at it, but the energy beams seemed to have no effect. "Captain, we're receiving another signal," Tom said. "This one is different. It's coming from the station." "Put it through," Jake ordered. A voice filled the bridge. It was speaking in the clicking language of the Zephyrians, but the computer translated it into English. "This is Dr. Veltar of Research Station Omega. We are under attack by unknown entities. Our weapons are useless against them. Please help us. We have discovered something terrible, something that could threaten the entire galaxy." The signal cut off. On the screen, they could see the crystal thing getting closer to the station. "Captain, what do we do?" Ben asked. Jake looked at his small crew. The Liberty had only basic weapons. They were explorers, not fighters. But the people on that station needed help. "Lisa, scan that crystal thing. Find out everything you can about it. Tom, take us closer but keep our distance. Ben, prepare all weapons." "Sir, our weapons won't be much help against something that big," Ben said. "Maybe not, but we have to try," Jake replied. As the Liberty moved closer, Lisa made a shocking discovery. "Captain, there's not just one of those crystal things. My sensors are detecting at least 20 of them in this system, and they're all moving toward inhabited areas." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Whatever these things were, they were not just attacking the research station. They were spreading through the entire system. "Get me a communication channel to Earth Command," Jake ordered. "We need to warn them about this." But as Tom tried to send the message, alarms started going off all over the ship. "Captain, one of those crystal things is coming toward us," Ben shouted. "It's moving fast." Jake watched as a smaller crystal, about the size of their ship, changed course and headed straight for them. Its blue glow was getting brighter. "All hands, prepare for battle," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "This is not a drill." The Liberty was alone in a dangerous system with an unknown enemy approaching. Jake knew they were probably going to die, but he also knew they couldn't run away, not when people needed their help. The crystal thing was almost upon them now. Jake gripped his captain's chair and prepared for the fight of his life. Admiral Kate Brooks sat in her office on Luna Base, looking at reports from across human space. It was early morning on the moon, and most of the base was still quiet. Kate had been in charge of Earth's space fleet for 5 years. In that time, she had never faced anything like what she was reading now. The emergency message from Captain Murphy had arrived 3 hours ago. Kate had read it 20 times, but it still seemed impossible. Crystal creatures that ate everything in their path. An entire star system under attack. A Zephyrian research station that wasn't supposed to exist. Kate's door opened and Fleet Admiral Ryan Torres walked in. Ryan was her second in command and her oldest friend. They had served together for 15 years. "Any word from the Liberty?" Ryan asked. "Nothing since the first message," Kate said. "I'm afraid we might have lost them." Ryan sat down across from her desk. "What do you think we should do?" Before Kate could answer, her communication device started beeping. It was a priority message from the Galactic Council headquarters. "Admiral Brooks," said the voice, "please report to the Emergency Council meeting in 1 hour. We have a situation." Kate looked at Ryan. "Looks like we're about to find out what the aliens think about all this." 1 hour later, Kate was sitting in the council chamber. The room was huge and round, with seats for representatives from all the member species. The Altarians sat on one side, tall and proud with their golden skin. The Centauri collective representatives were there too, with their pale blue faces and large eyes. The peaceful Andromedans sat near the back, their silver robes shining under the lights. In the center of the room was Ambassador Paul Chen, Earth's representative to the Council. Paul was a smart man who had worked hard to build good relationships with the alien species, but today he looked worried. The Council leader, an Altarian named HFY, stood up to speak. "We are here because of a serious threat in the Kepler 442 system," HFY said. 3 hours ago, we lost contact with a Centauri science vessel in that area. 2 hours ago, an Andromedan trade ship disappeared near the same system, and 1 hour ago, we received reports of unknown hostile entities." Kate felt her heart sink. Murphy and his crew weren't the only ones in danger. A Centauri representative stood up. "We sent our science vessel to investigate unusual energy readings in the dead zone. It was supposed to be a routine mission. Now our ship and 43 crew members are missing." "The same thing happened to our trade vessel," said an Andromedan. 58 beings lost." Sci-Fi continued. We have also received a distress call from a Zephyrian research station. They report being attacked by crystalline entities that consume both organic and synthetic matter. These entities appear to be spreading rapidly throughout the system. Ambassador Chen stood up. What about the human ship that sent the first warning? Captain Murphy and his crew risked their lives to warn us about this threat. An Altarian war commander laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. One small human vessel against entities that have destroyed our best ships? They are certainly dead by now. Kate felt anger rising in her chest, but she kept quiet. This was Paul's job. The question before us, Sci-Fi said, is what to do about this threat. Our military advisors have studied the available data. They believe these entities are too dangerous to fight. We recommend sealing off the entire sector and writing it off as a loss. You want to abandon any survivors? Paul asked. It is regrettable but necessary, said the Centauri representative. We cannot risk more lives on a rescue mission that will certainly fail. Paul looked around the room. What if there's another way? What if we could find a weakness in these creatures? The Altarian war commander stood up. His name was Thexal, and he was famous for never losing a battle. Human, your species is young and inexperienced. You do not understand the power of what we face. If our advanced fleets cannot handle this threat, your primitive vessels certainly cannot. Kate wanted to stand up and argue, but she knew it would not help. The aliens had already made up their minds. We will vote now, Sci-Fi announced. All in favor of quarantining the Kepler 442 system? Every alien hand went up except for the Zephyrian representative, who was too worried about his people to vote. Motion passed, Sci-Fi said. The sector is now under permanent quarantine. No ship is permitted to enter. Paul tried one more time. At least let us try to rescue the survivors. The decision has been made, Thexal said firmly. Any ship that enters the quarantine zone will be considered in violation of galactic law. The meeting ended and Kate met Paul outside the chamber. They're just going to let everyone die, Paul said angrily. Not if I can help it, Kate replied. They walked quickly to Kate's ship for the trip back to Luna Base. As soon as they were in space, Kate contacted Ryan Torres. Ryan, I need you to start preparing the fleet immediately. How much of the fleet? Ryan asked. All of it. Every ship we have. I want our entire war fleet ready to move in 6 hours. Paul looked surprised. Kate, the Council just voted to quarantine the system. If we send ships there, it could start a war with the other species. Let them try to stop us, Kate said. We don't abandon our people, and we don't abandon people who asked for our help. Kate spent the next few hours making plans. She contacted every human ship captain in the fleet. She called in ships from the outer colonies. She even asked for volunteers from the civilian space service. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Every captain wanted to help. Many civilian ship owners offered their vessels for the rescue mission. Captain Amy Rodriguez was the first to respond. She commanded the USS Defiance, the largest and most powerful ship in the human fleet. The Defiance was a dreadnought with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Admiral, the Defiance and her escort ships are ready to depart, Amy reported. Good. You'll be leading the first attack wave, Kate told her. While Kate organized the fleet, Ryan was working on the technical details. He contacted every human scientist and engineer he could find. We need to know everything possible about these crystal entities, Ryan told them. Find their weaknesses. Figure out how to fight them. Dr. Ellen Price, Earth's top xenobiologist, was already working on the problem. From the limited data we have, these entities seem to absorb energy, she told Ryan. Conventional weapons might not work against them. Then we'll find unconventional weapons, Ryan replied. As the hours passed, more ships arrived at Luna Base. Soon there were over 200 human vessels gathered there. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Kate stood on the observation deck of her flagship, the USS Enterprise, and looked at all the ships, cruisers, destroyers, frigates, and support vessels, all ready to risk everything for people they had never met. Ryan joined her at the window. The alien species think we're too young and weak to handle this, he said. Maybe they're right, Kate replied. Maybe we'll all die trying. But we have to try anyway. Yes, we have to try. Kate activated the fleet communication system. Her voice reached every ship in the fleet. This is Admiral Brooks. In 1 hour, we will depart for the Kepler 442 system. We go to rescue survivors and stop a threat that could spread to other systems. The Galactic Council has forbidden this mission. The alien species think we cannot succeed. They may be right, but we are human, and we do not abandon people in need. She paused, looking out at the assembled fleet. Some of us may not come back, but if we do nothing, innocent people will die. And this threat may spread to threaten Earth itself. We go not just as rescuers, but as defenders of our galaxy. The communication channel filled with responses from ship captains. Every one of them was ready to follow Kate into the unknown. Fleet Admiral Torres will coordinate our battle plan during the journey, Kate continued. Study everything we know about these entities. Be ready for anything. And remember, the galaxy is watching. Let's show them what humans can do. The fleet began moving away from Luna Base. Kate watched Earth shrink behind them as they entered hyperspace. She knew that in a few hours, they would either save the trapped survivors or join them in death. But one thing was certain. Humanity would not be ignored anymore. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. What they saw made everyone stop talking. Half of the system was gone. Where planets used to be, there were now empty spaces filled with tiny pieces of rock and metal. The crystal entities had eaten entire worlds. Captain Amy Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance and watched the destruction on her main screen. How many of those things are there? She asked her science officer. We're counting at least 300 crystal entities, Captain. They range in size from small fighters to massive ships bigger than our dreadnoughts. Amy felt her stomach drop. The human fleet had brought 200 ships. They were outnumbered and outgunned. Admiral Brooks is requesting all captains to join the command meeting, her communication officer reported. Minutes later, Amy was on a video call with all the other human ship captains. Admiral Brooks looked tired but determined. You can all see what we're facing, Brooks said. The situation is worse than we thought, but our job hasn't changed. We need to rescue the survivors and stop these things from spreading. Admiral, our weapons might not work on them, said Captain John Parker of the USS Thunder. The alien ships had better weapons than us, and they were completely destroyed. We'll figure something out, Brooks replied. Captain Rodriguez, I want you to lead a small attack group. Test their defenses. Learn how they fight. Amy nodded. Yes, ma'am. The Defiance and 3 escort ships will move in first. Be careful, Amy. We need you to come back with information. Amy's small group moved toward the nearest crystal entity. It was about the same size as a human cruiser, floating near the remains of what used to be a moon. All ships, prepare for battle, Amy ordered. Target the entity with all weapons. The 4 human ships fired together. Energy beams and missiles hit the crystal creature. For a moment, Amy thought they had damaged it. Then she watched in horror as the entity absorbed all the energy from their weapons. It actually grew bigger. Captain, it's moving toward us, her pilot reported. The crystal entity was fast, much faster than anything that size should be. It reached the first escort ship in seconds. Amy watched her screen as the crystal touched the escort ship. The human vessel began to break apart, but not like it was being destroyed by weapons. It looked like it was being eaten. The metal hull dissolved and was absorbed into the crystal. All ships retreat now, Amy shouted. They managed to escape, but they had lost 1 ship and 28 crew members. Amy felt sick. Admiral Brooks, this is Rodriguez. Conventional weapons don't work. Repeat. Conventional weapons are useless against these entities. They absorb energy and use it to grow stronger. Back at the fleet command ship, Admiral Brooks was talking with her science team. They had been watching the battle and studying the sensor data. There has to be a way to fight them, Brooks said. Lieutenant Commander Steve Walsh was the captain of an experimental ship called the USS Vanguard. He had been studying the sensor readings from the battle. Admiral, I think I found something, Steve said. My ship has experimental electromagnetic pulse weapons. During the battle, one of my EMP systems accidentally activated. For just a moment, the crystal entity seemed to flicker. Flicker how? Brooks asked. Like it lost power for a second. The EMP might disrupt whatever energy they used to hold themselves together. Brooks felt a spark of hope. How many EMP weapons do we have in the fleet? Not many, ma'am. Maybe 20 ships have them, and they're not very powerful. Can we modify our other weapons to produce similar effects? Steve thought for a moment. Maybe. It would take time, and we'd have to shut down our main weapons systems to do it. While the engineers worked on modifying weapons, Captain Murphy's ship, the USS Liberty, was still trapped near the research station. They had been hiding behind a large asteroid for hours, watching the crystal entities destroy everything around them. Murphy had managed to rescue Dr. Veltar and 5 other Zephyrian scientists from the research station. Now they were all crowded into the Liberty's small meeting room. Dr. Veltar, you need to tell us everything you know about these creatures, Murphy said. The Zephyrian scientist was very upset. His blue skin was pale, and his large eyes were full of fear. We found them buried deep under the surface of the 3rd planet, Veltar said in his clicking language. The computer translated his words. They were dormant, sleeping for thousands of years. We thought they were just unusual crystals. When we brought samples back to the station for study, they woke up. What exactly are they? Asked Lisa Grant. We believe they are weapons, created by the ancient Vorthon civilization that used to live in this system, but we don't understand why the Vorthons would create something so destructive. Murphy felt a chill. Weapons? Weapons against what? We don't know. But Captain Murphy, there's something else. Something worse. According to our research, these entities were designed to be controlled, but the control system was damaged long ago. Now they act on their own, consuming everything they find. Lisa was studying the data on her computer. Dr. Veltar, how many of these things were buried on the planet? We estimated thousands, maybe tens of thousands, and we may have awakened them all. Murphy looked out the window at the crystal entities floating in space. If there were thousands more still on the planet, the situation was hopeless. Captain, his communication officer called out, I'm receiving a signal from a human fleet. They're asking for our location. Murphy felt relief flood through him. Respond immediately. Tell them we're alive and we have important information about the entities. An hour later, the human fleet had moved into position around the system. They had spread out in small groups, trying to avoid the attention of the larger crystal entities. Admiral Brooks contacted Murphy directly. Captain, we're glad you're alive. What can you tell us about these things? Murphy shared everything Dr. Veltar had told him. Brooks listened carefully. So they're weapons that have lost their control system, Brooks said. Is there any way to restore control? Dr. Veltar says maybe, but we'd have to reach the original control center on the planet's surface, and that's where most of the entities are concentrated. Brooks was quiet for a moment. Captain, we're going to try something. Our engineers have modified some of our weapons to produce electromagnetic pulses. We think the EMPs might disrupt the entities. It's worth a try, Admiral. But be careful. These things learn fast. They adapt to every attack we've tried. Brooks contacted all her ship captains. This is Admiral Brooks. We're going to test our new weapons. All ships with modified EMP systems move into attack formation. Everyone else, stay back and observe. 20 human ships moved toward a group of smaller crystal entities. Steve Walsh and the USS Vanguard led the attack. All ships, fire EMPs on my mark, Steve ordered. 3, 2, 1, mark. 20 electromagnetic pulses hit the crystal entities at the same time. The results were amazing. The entities flickered and went dark. For several seconds, they stopped moving completely. It worked, Steve shouted. The EMPs disrupted their energy systems. But the celebration was short-lived. After a few minutes, the crystal entities started glowing again. They had adapted to the EMP attack and were now resistant to it. Admiral, the EMPs only work once, Steve reported. They're learning how to protect themselves. Brooks felt frustration building. Every time they found a weakness, the entities overcame it. Dr. Veltar, she called to the Zephyrian scientist on Murphy's ship. Is there anything else you can tell us? Any other weakness we might exploit? There is one thing, Veltar replied. The entities share a collective intelligence. They learn from each other's experiences, but this might also be a weakness. If we could disrupt their communication somehow. Lisa Grant had an idea. What if we don't try to destroy them? What if we try to confuse them instead? What do you mean? Brooks asked. If they share information instantly, we could overload their network. Attack them with so many different tactics at once that their collective intelligence can't process it all. Brooks thought about this. It was a crazy idea, but they were running out of options. All ships, this is Admiral Brooks. We're going to try something new. Every ship will attack using different tactics at the same time. Use every weapon type we have. Different angles, different speeds, different targets. We're going to overwhelm their ability to adapt. The entire human fleet spread out across the system. Some ships used energy weapons, others used missiles. Some attacked head-on, others from the sides. Some moved fast, others moved slowly. The result was chaos. The crystal entities couldn't adapt fast enough to handle so many different attack types at once. Several smaller entities were destroyed before they could learn to defend themselves. But the humans paid a price for this success. Many ships were lost in the confused battle. Admiral Brooks watched as good captains and crews were consumed by the crystal entities. The battle was far from over, and the humans were learning that victory would cost them dearly. The battle had been going on for 6 hours. The human fleet had lost 30 ships and over 1,000 crew members. Admiral Brooks stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the tactical display. They were slowly winning, but the cost was terrible. Commander Sarah Blake of the USS Thunder had just destroyed 2 crystal entities using a new tactic she called swarm fighting. Instead of attacking with single large ships, she coordinated groups of smaller vessels to attack like a pack of wolves. Admiral, this is Blake, Sarah reported over the communication system. The swarm tactic is working. The entities can't track multiple small targets as well as they can track large ships. Good work, Commander. Share your technique with all other ship captains immediately. While the humans adapted their tactics, something unexpected was happening at the edge of the system. Alien ships were arriving. Admiral, we have new contacts, reported her sensor officer. Altarian warships, coming in fast. Brooks felt her heart sink. Had the aliens come to stop the human rescue mission? Would they have to fight both the crystal entities and the Galactic Council forces? Put me in contact with the Altarian commander, Brooks ordered. The main screen showed War Commander Thexal, the same Altarian who had dismissed human capabilities at the council meeting, but he looked different now, less arrogant. Admiral Brooks, Thexal said, we have been monitoring your battle. Request permission to join your forces. Brooks was so surprised she almost couldn't speak. You want to help us? Your tactics against these entities are impressive. We have watched you adapt and overcome challenges that destroyed our best ships. We would be honored to fight alongside humans. What about the Galactic Council's quarantine order? Thexal's expression was grim. The entities have begun moving toward the edge of the system. If they escape into open space, they will threaten every world in the galaxy. The quarantine has failed. Now we must fight. Soon more alien ships began arriving. Centauri vessels with their advanced energy shields. Andromedan ships with powerful long-range weapons. Even more Zephyrian vessels came to help rescue their people. For the first time in galactic history, all the major species were working together under human command. Admiral Brooks found herself in charge of over 400 ships from 5 different civilizations. The combined fleet had more firepower, but it also created new problems. The different species had different fighting styles and technologies that didn't always work well together. Admiral, called Captain Parker from the USS Thunder, the alien ships are having trouble with our swarm tactics. Their formations are too rigid. Brooks had an idea. All alien vessels, this is Admiral Brooks. I'm assigning human coordinators to work with your tactical officers. Follow their lead on attack patterns. At first, the alien commanders were insulted. They had been fighting space battles for thousands of years. Why should they take orders from young humans? But when they saw how effective human tactics were, they began to listen. War Commander Thexal was assigned to work with Captain Amy Rodriguez on the USS Defiance. At first, Both commanders were suspicious of each other. "Your ship moves too aggressively," Thexal told Amy. "Altarian tactics emphasize careful planning and overwhelming force." "Your tactics are too slow," Amy replied. "These entities adapt quickly. By the time you finish planning, they've already learned to counter your attack." But as they fought together, they began to understand each other. Thexal learned that human speed and flexibility could overcome superior enemy technology. Amy learned that Altarian discipline and coordination could make her tactics even more effective. "Admiral Brooks," Thexal said privately, "I owe you an apology. At the council meeting, I said humans were too primitive to handle this threat. I was wrong. Your people have awakened something in us that we thought we had lost." "What's that?" Brooks asked. "Courage. Real courage. Not just the ability to fight, but the willingness to risk everything for strangers. We had forgotten what that meant." While the space battle continued, Captain Murphy was leading a dangerous mission to the planet's surface. Dr. Veltar believed the original Vorthon control center was buried deep underground. If they could reach it and restore the control system, they might be able to shut down all the crystal entities at once. Murphy's team included Lisa Grant, Ben Carter, and 5 other volunteers. They had taken a small shuttle to avoid detection by the thousands of crystal entities around the planet. "The control center should be about 2 miles underground," Dr. Veltar explained as they descended through the planet's atmosphere. "But the Vorthons built many defenses to protect it." They landed in the ruins of an ancient Vorthon city. The buildings were made of the same crystal material as the entities, but these crystals were dark and lifeless. "This place gives me the creeps," Ben said as they walked through the empty streets. The team found the entrance to the underground complex. It was hidden beneath what looked like a temple. As they descended, they found evidence of the Vorthon's final days. The walls were covered with writing in the ancient Vorthon language. Dr. Veltar translated some of it. "They were afraid of something," he said. "Something coming from outside the galaxy. They created the crystal entities as a last defense." "Defense against what?" Lisa asked. They found the answer in the control center. The room was huge, filled with ancient computers and displays. When Lisa activated the systems, images appeared on the screens. The images showed space at the edge of the galaxy. Dark ships were approaching, so many that they blocked out the stars. The ships were unlike anything any of them had ever seen. "These are the invaders the Vorthons feared," Dr. Veltar said. "They consumed entire star systems on the galaxy's outer rim before mysteriously disappearing thousands of years ago." Murphy studied the images. "And now they're coming back?" Lisa was checking the long-range sensors connected to the control center. "Captain, these sensors are much more powerful than anything we have. They can detect objects at the galaxy's edge." She activated the sensors and pointed them toward the outer rim. What she found made her blood run cold. "Captain, the dark ships are back. Thousands of them, maybe millions. They're moving toward the inner galaxy." Murphy felt sick. "How long before they get here?" Lisa did quick calculations. "At their current speed, maybe 6 months." "The Vorthons created the crystal entities to fight these invaders," Dr. Veltar said. "But without proper control, the entities became a threat themselves." Lisa was studying the control systems. "I think I can restore partial control, not enough to shut them down completely, but maybe enough to redirect them." "Redirect them where?" Murphy asked. "To the galaxy's edge, to fight the real enemy." But restoring the control system would not be easy. The ancient technology was damaged and partially destroyed. Lisa would need time to repair it, and time was something they didn't have. Above them in space, the battle was reaching a critical point. The combined human and alien fleet had destroyed many crystal entities, but more kept emerging from the planet. The entities were also getting larger and more aggressive. Admiral Brooks watched as a massive crystal entity, bigger than any they had seen before, rose from the planet's surface. It was heading straight for the combined fleet. "All ships concentrate fire on the large entity," Brooks ordered. Every ship in the fleet fired at once. The massive crystal absorbed all their energy and grew even larger. It was now bigger than a moon. "Admiral, Our weapons are just making it stronger, Captain Rodriguez reported. Brooks realized they were facing a choice. They could retreat and save the fleet, or they could stay and try to buy time for Murphy's team to restore the control system. She made her decision. All ships, this is Admiral Brooks. We're going to ram that thing. All available ships, prepare for collision course. Admiral, that's suicide, protested Captain Parker. Maybe, but if we don't stop it here, it will escape into the galaxy. Our families, our homeworlds, everything we care about will be consumed. One by one, the ship captains responded. USS Defiance ready for ramming speed. USS Thunder standing by. Altarian battle cruiser Zexmore ready to engage. Centauri vessel Blue Star prepared for sacrifice. Over 100 ships from all species turned toward the massive crystal entity. They were prepared to give their lives to save the galaxy. But before they could begin their final attack, Lisa Grant's voice came over the communication system from the planet below. Admiral Brooks, this is Lisa Grant. I've restored partial control of the entities. I'm going to try something, but I need all ships to stop firing immediately. Brooks hesitated. If Lisa's plan failed, they would lose their last chance to stop the massive entity. All ships, cease fire. Grant, you have 60 seconds. Deep underground, Lisa activated the restored control systems. She couldn't shut down the entities, but she could give them new instructions. She programmed them with images from the long-range sensors, images of the dark ships approaching from the galaxy's edge. The effect was immediate. All across the system, the crystal entities stopped attacking the human and alien ships. Instead, they began moving toward the edge of the galaxy, toward the real threat that was coming. The massive entity above the fleet also changed course. It gathered the smaller entities around it and began the long journey to the galaxy's outer rim. Admiral Brooks watched in amazement as hundreds of crystal entities streamed past her fleet, heading for deep space. Lisa, what did you do? Brooks asked. I reminded them of their original purpose, Lisa replied. They were created to defend the galaxy. Now they're going to do their job. The immediate threat was over, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real enemy was still coming, and the galaxy would need to prepare for the greatest war in its history. 3 weeks had passed since the battle in the Kepler 442 system. Captain Murphy stood in the underground Vorthon control center, watching Lisa Grant work on the ancient computers. She had been studying the Vorthon records day and night, trying to learn everything she could about the approaching threat. Lisa, you need to rest, Murphy said. You've been working for 18 hours straight. There's no time to rest, Lisa replied without looking up from her screen. The dark ships are moving faster than we calculated. They'll be here in 4 months, not 6. Murphy felt his stomach tighten. 4 months to prepare for an invasion that had destroyed entire civilizations. Above ground, the galaxy was changing rapidly. The Galactic Council had voted to make Admiral Brooks the supreme commander of all galactic defense forces. For the first time in history, a human was in charge of protecting the entire galaxy. Brooks had moved her headquarters to a space station near the Galactic Center. She was coordinating the biggest military buildup the galaxy had ever seen. Ships from every species were being gathered into massive fleets. But it wasn't enough. Even with every ship in the galaxy, they were still outnumbered by the approaching dark ships. War Commander Thexal entered Brooks' office carrying a data pad. The proud Altarian warrior had become one of her most trusted advisors. Admiral, we have reports from the crystal entities, he said. They have reached the galaxy's edge and made contact with the dark ships. What happened? Brooks asked. The entities destroyed several dark ships, but they were overwhelmed. The enemy has weapons we don't understand. Some kind of energy that can dissolve the crystal entities completely. Brooks studied the battle reports. The crystal entities were powerful, but the dark ships had found a way to counter them. Soon the entities would be gone, and nothing would stand between the invaders and the inner galaxy. There's something else, Thexal continued. The entities transmitted data back to the control center before they were destroyed. Dr. Grant believes she has learned something important about the enemy. Brooks activated her communication system. Lisa, this is Admiral Brooks. What did you find? Lisa's tired voice came through the speakers. Admiral, The dark ships aren't from outside our galaxy. They're from here, from our own galaxy's past. What do you mean? According to the Vorthan records, the dark ships are what's left of a civilization that existed here millions of years ago. They consumed every world in the outer rim, then moved into dark space between galaxies. Now they've returned to finish what they started. Murphy joined the conversation. Lisa, are you saying these things used to live in our galaxy? Yes. And the Vorthons knew they would come back eventually. That's why they created the crystal entities. But they also created something else, a weapon designed specifically to fight the dark ships. Brooks felt a spark of hope. What kind of weapon? The Vorthons found a way to turn stars into weapons. They could make them explode in a controlled way, creating energy waves that could destroy the dark ship's technology. How many stars did they weaponize? Brooks asked. All of them. Every star in the galaxy has been modified with Vorthan technology, but the activation system was never completed. The dark ships returned before the Vorthons could finish their work. Brooks understood immediately. You want to complete their work. Turn every star in the galaxy into a weapon. It's the only way, Lisa said. But we need to be careful. If we make a mistake, we could destroy every world in the galaxy. How long would it take to activate the system? I don't know, maybe weeks, maybe months. The Vorthan technology is incredibly complex. Brooks made her decision. Do it. Whatever resources you need, you'll have them. I'm sending our best scientists and engineers to help you. While Lisa worked on the star weapon system, the galactic fleets were fighting desperate battles at the galaxy's edge. Captain Amy Rodriguez commanded a fleet of 500 ships trying to slow down the dark ship advance. The battles were unlike anything anyone had ever experienced. The dark ships could absorb energy attacks and turn them against the galactic forces. They could also create black holes to destroy entire fleets at once. Amy watched from the bridge of the USS Defiance as another group of dark ships emerged from hyperspace. There seemed to be no end to them. Captain, we're receiving a communication from the lead dark ship, her communication officer reported. Put it through, Amy ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and mechanical, but it spoke perfect English. Human vessels, you fight bravely but uselessly. We have consumed 1,000 galaxies. Your resistance only delays the inevitable. Amy activated her own communication system. This is Captain Rodriguez of the Human Defense Force. We'll never surrender to you. Surrender is not required. You will be consumed, as all life eventually is. But we are curious about your species. You are very young, yet you lead the other races. How did this happen? Amy was surprised by the question. We earned their respect by fighting for what's right. Interesting. Most species we have encountered fight only for themselves. You fight for others. This is unusual. Maybe that's why you'll lose, Amy said. The dark ship was quiet for a moment. Then the voice spoke again. Perhaps. But first, you will watch your galaxy burn. The communication ended, and the dark ships resumed their attack. Back at the Vorthan Control Center, Lisa was making progress on the star weapon system. She had been joined by the galaxy's best scientists, including Dr. Veltar, and experts from every species. I think I understand how it works, Lisa announced to the team. The Vorthons planted devices in every star that can change how the star burns. When activated, the star will produce a specific type of energy that disrupts the dark ship's technology. Will it destroy the stars? Asked Dr. Veltar. No, but it will change them. Every star in the galaxy will burn brighter and hotter for about a year. Some planets might become uninhabitable temporarily. That's better than being consumed by the dark ships, Murphy said. Lisa continued working, but she kept finding problems with the Vorthan system. Parts of it were damaged or missing. She began to think it might be impossible to complete. Then she made a discovery that changed everything. Captain Murphy, you need to see this, she said excitedly. Murphy looked at her screen. It showed a star map of the galaxy with thousands of highlighted points. What am I looking at? he asked. These are all the stars that have been modified with Vorthon technology. But look at this pattern. Lisa zoomed out to show the entire galaxy. The modified stars formed a specific pattern, almost like a giant symbol. It's not random, Lisa continued. The Vorthons didn't just modify stars to create weapons, they modified them to create a message. A message to who? To whoever found their technology. To us. Lisa had discovered that the star pattern contained instructions. Hidden in the arrangement of modified stars was a complete guide to activating the weapon system safely. The Vorthons knew they wouldn't survive to activate the system themselves, Lisa explained. So they encoded the instructions in the pattern of stars, hoping that someday another species would find it and complete their work. With the Vorthon instructions, Lisa was able to complete the star weapon system in just 1 week, but activating it would require a ship to reach the galactic center, where the main control station was located. The problem was that the galactic center was now controlled by the dark ships. They had captured it 3 days earlier. Admiral Brooks called a meeting of all fleet commanders. "We need to get a ship to the galactic center," she announced. "It's the only way to activate the star weapon system." "Admiral, that's suicide," said Captain Parker. "The dark ships have thousands of vessels around the galactic center." "Maybe, but if we don't try, the galaxy will fall anyway." War Commander Thexel stood up. "Admiral, the Altarian fleet volunteers for this mission." "So does the Centauri Collective," said another commander. "And the Andromedan ships," added a third. Soon every species had volunteered. Brooks felt proud and sad at the same time. They were all willing to die for the galaxy. "We'll need a small, fast ship to carry the activation device," Brooks said. "Something that can slip through the dark ship defenses." Captain Murphy stepped forward. "Admiral, the USS Liberty volunteers. We're small and we know the system better than anyone." Brooks nodded. "Captain Murphy, you and your crew will carry the activation device. The rest of us will create a distraction to draw the dark ships away from the galactic center." The plan was simple but dangerous. Every ship in the galactic fleet would attack the dark ships at once, creating chaos and confusion. While the enemy was distracted, Murphy's small ship would reach the galactic center and activate the star weapon. The battle began at dawn, Galactic Standard Time. Over 10,000 ships from all species attacked the dark ship forces simultaneously. The space around the galactic center became a massive battlefield. Admiral Brooks led the attack from her flagship. She watched as ship after ship was destroyed by the dark ship's terrible weapons. But the galactic forces kept fighting, buying time for Murphy's mission. The USS Liberty slipped through the chaos, avoiding the big battles and heading for the galactic center. Murphy's small crew was tense but determined. "Captain, we're approaching the control station," Lisa reported. "But there are dark ships guarding it." "How many?" "At least 50. We'll never get past them." Murphy was about to order a retreat when something unexpected happened. The crystal entities that had been sent to the galaxy's edge suddenly appeared around the galactic center. The entities had been nearly destroyed in their battles with the dark ships, but a few had survived. Now they were making one final attack, drawing the dark ships away from the control station. "Now's our chance," Murphy said. "Lisa, get ready to activate the system." The Liberty reached the control station and docked quickly. Lisa ran to the main computer and began the activation sequence. "It's working," she announced. "The system is activating. All stars in the galaxy will be affected in 30 seconds. As the seconds counted down, Murphy looked out at the battle raging around them. So many ships destroyed, so many lives lost. But it would all be worth it if the star weapon worked. "Activation complete," Lisa announced. Across the galaxy, every star began to burn brighter. The change was visible even in space. And then the energy waves began. Invisible waves of energy spread out from every star, moving at the speed of light. When the waves reached the dark ships, the results were immediate and dramatic. The dark ships began to break apart. Their technology, which had seemed invincible, could not withstand the energy produced by the modified stars. Ship after ship was destroyed as the energy waves swept through the galaxy. In just a few hours it was over. Every dark ship in the galaxy had been destroyed. Murphy and his crew returned to find the galactic fleet celebrating. They had won, but the cost had been enormous. Thousands of ships had been lost, and many worlds had been damaged by the brighter stars. 1 month later, Admiral Brooks stood before the Galactic Council. She was no longer Supreme Commander. With the threat over, the galaxy was returning to normal government. But things would never be quite the same. "Admiral Brooks," said Council Leader Sci-Fi, "the galaxy owes humanity a debt that can never be repaid. You arrived when no one was meant to arrive. You fought when victory seemed impossible. You united us when we were divided." Brooks looked around the council chamber. The representatives of every species were standing and applauding. Even the proud Altarians were showing respect. "We didn't do it alone," Brooks replied. "Every species contributed to this victory. We learned that we're stronger when we work together." War Commander Thexal stood up. "Admiral, the Altarian Empire would be honored if you would accept the position of Galactic Defense Coordinator. It is a new position, created specifically for you." Similar offers came from the other species. The Centauri wanted her to lead their exploration fleets. The Andromedans offered her a position in their diplomatic corps, but Brooks declined them all. "Thank you, but I have a job to do back home. Earth still needs defending, and there are new threats out there. This galaxy is safe for now, but the universe is big and full of dangers." Later, Brooks met privately with Captain Murphy and Lisa Grant. "Do you think we'll ever face anything like this again?" Murphy asked. Lisa was studying data from the modified stars. "The star weapon system will keep working for about 100 years. After that, the effects will fade and the stars will return to normal." "So we have 100 years of protection," Brooks said. "Maybe. But Admiral, I found something else in the Vorthan records. They weren't the first civilization to face this kind of threat. The galaxy has been attacked by different enemies many times over millions of years. And each time, someone steps up to defend it. The Vorthons defended it against the dark ships. Before them, other species fought other threats. It's like the galaxy itself chooses defenders when they're needed most." Murphy smiled. "And this time, it chose humanity." "Maybe," Lisa said. "Or maybe humanity chose itself." Brooks looked out the window at the stars. They were still burning brighter than normal, a reminder of the recent battle. Soon they would return to their usual brightness, and the galaxy would continue its slow rotation through space. But humans would be watching, ready to step forward again if needed. Because that's what humans did. They arrived when no one was meant to arrive. They fought when no one else would fight, and they never gave up, no matter how impossible the odds seemed. The galaxy was safe, at least for now, and humanity had taken its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as protectors. It was exactly where they belonged.